Okay.
Hello everyone, hello friends, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another episode of Tea Time Talks. As you can see, I'm joined by the wonderful, Mr. Guillem Balagué. How are you, Guillem? It's been quite some time since we last had a chat.
Indeed. I'm all right, Semra. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's amazing to think that we spoke, like 2 weeks ago, but the time has just flown by and now all of a sudden it's been about a month that we've been in self-isolation. You at least have a bit of outdoor space, which looks nice. How you been holding up? How you been doing? What you been doing?
Yeah, it's 23 days now of self-isolation, and I think one thing that I've got is the ability to adapt to whatever circumstances. I've been, an immigrant. I left Spain when I was 23, and like yourself, have been in different countries, which helps, yes, to adapt to whatever comes our way. But I have to admit that in the last couple of days, it's been a little bit tougher. I just think it's the repetition of the days, and because me personally, I suppose people in my situation as well have to also restructure work a little bit. There's been people that pay half, others that don't give you jobs, others that are demanding a different kind of thing from you. So plus you're also working hard to stay relevant and to create new content like you're doing yourself. So all that has been, a push of energy and trying to find different ways and of communicating. And just got to day 21 and just went like, So the last 2 days have been a little bit tougher from that point of view. Also, as you know, in Spain, we cannot get out at all, apart from, from emergencies or for chemist or supermarket. I only left the apartment a couple of times, and one was yesterday. And then perhaps that's what happened as well, by going out and realizing that kind of glass house that I built for the last 23 days, when you break it, you realize that, we are in a pandemic, really, and the consequences of it. So I'm coming out of that. It was a couple of tough days, but I can overcome anything, so it's fine.
Speaking of which, what does that say? Never known without my phone.
Oh yes, you never know. Even when we're talking live on LaLiga TV, isn't it? There's always the phone there available.
That's true.
Best friend.
It's absolutely surgically, you have to surgically remove it from our hands, don't you? Everywhere we go, we have our phones with us. But speaking of that pandemic that you mentioned, I see you've also been up to some arts and crafts at home too. A homemade mask with Calvin Klein or something? I saw the photo on Instagram. I was like, I need to ask him about that.
I don't have masks. We don't have masks here, so we never bought it. And once we self-isolated, perhaps we didn't see the urgency of it. And I know there is a division in which the World Health Organization are saying only for people that are not well and for health workers. But in Spain, they are considering the possibility of actually everybody using it. And I know that in certain parts of Italy, they fine you if you don't wear it. Right. So and I think in China as well. So, okay, what is it that we can do then? I thought with what we have, and what we had was I've read that you can do a mask with kitchen roll, but 2 layers of kitchen roll. In the middle of it, it has to be like tissues. So you put the kitchen roll, the tissues in the middle. And then you have to put it all together with a sellotape. Right. Add the top of it a kind of wire, so it just kind of fixes on your nose. And then it's like, but the elastic band, we don't have elastic bands.
So you had to get a bit creative about it, right?
So then we have to go into the underwear and cut the underwear and then just make the elastic bit part, to put it together. So creativity, brilliant. The name of the game.
So did you go outside with it yesterday too then, whenever you left the house? No.
Not yet. Okay. But I've got a couple of deliveries today because everything gets delivered around here. Right. And then I'll use it for that.
Wonderful. So we have quite a few people with us right now. We have Fabold who says, Hola, señor Guillem Balagué.
Hola.
And we have Neil Kirkham from Middlesbrough who says hello and hope that you're both okay. So hello to both of you as well and to everybody else. We hope that you guys are doing well. And of course, as always, remember throughout the conversation, we want it to be multi-directional. So throw your questions at us, anything you want to know about, whether it be personal, whether it be about football, whatever. We're here to chat with all of you as well. So speaking of which, Guillem, how is your mother doing? Because I saw that tweet that you put out. I thought that was so lovely, where she was in the background, she's waving, and she looks fit as an ox, and it was
to be
lovely.
honest, it was a picture about the volunteers, but my mother was so happy to be in it that sent it to everybody and made it into the news. And it was she lives in a kind of state urbanización, we call it. So it tends to be second residences for most people. You know, you got the little villas in the mountain, about 20 minutes from where I am at the moment. But she lives there. My mother's lived there for 30 odd years. And of course, she's in the risk group. So a group of volunteers in the area, what they do is they knock on the doors or ring people that need anything, and basically just go for the shopping or the medicines or whatever. And I did that the first week. I went to her and took a bag of shopping, what she asked me for, and a lot more. But it was worse because we couldn't. Obviously, I had to be in the fence, and she had to be by the door, and she wasn't very happy with that. Right. And there was tears and everything, and it's like, don't come back, don't until this is over, don't come back. So she prefers to have people helping her that way than not being able to hug, her son. And I know that my brother's gone to see her a couple of times as well. The problem is here they are stopping you if you're not going home, or that you don't have a good enough reason to be traveling. They stop you and send you back home. So we decided that we do Skypes and Zooms and all that, family ones and friends ones, and everybody gets involved. And she prefers that than having to see her. But anyway, there was a selfie from the volunteer saying, we're helping people in San Miquel d'Aro, that's the name of the place. And she was in it, and she was very happy to be in the news.
It was a very lovely photo. Yeah. She looks super excited. So we've got some questions coming in for you, Guillem. One of which I think you're going to enjoy very much, and it was something I wanted to talk to you about as well, and it's about Biggleswade. So we have Toolsmeister asking how far you want to go with Biggleswade, and I know that it's a moment of contention a bit right now. I think you can explain this obviously much better than I can, but my understanding is that all of the divisions, with the exception of the first and the second in the English football world, they've all been definitively suspended. So that means that for Biggleswade as well, their season is over. It's been null and void. Like, they're not allowed anything that they've done up until this point this season. It stands for nothing. So you have written a letter along with 150 other chairmen to the FA to try and get this overturned, to get the league to be back up and running again at some point. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll try to explain this briefly if I can, because as you know, I'm passionate about Biggleswade, and when we start talking about the club, it just could go on for ages. But you're absolutely right. Step 1 and 2 of the pyramid of English football, which goes up to the National League North and South, so Premiership, Championship, League 1 and League 2, they're still deciding what to do. Is indefinitely suspended, but they haven't called it null and void. Right. From step 3 down, and we are in step 5, basically it's null and void. Okay. And straight away, when this was discussed, what was interesting is that the possibility of continuing the season wasn't even really a target. So the leagues were asked what they wanted to do. The leagues asked the clubs. There wasn't really a consultation. It was an email. What do you want it to happen? And of course, the decision from many is like null and void, especially the bottom 10. And especially those that have spent a lot of money, and it's like, let's and they're not top 3 or 4. They're not fighting for anything. Let's start again, they thought. And I felt that was a little bit, what would be the word?
Unfair?
Unfair, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely unfair, because we are third, 2 points from second, top 2 possibly promote. But it's not about that. It's about the time that we put into the whole season, the fact that 80% of the season has been played, the money that has been spent in travels, the time that's been spent by the volunteers in coaching, in organizing games, course, and what do we do with Dave Parkinson, Bullet, our striker, one of our strikers, scored 20 goals. What do we do with those goals? And yes, he was the best finishing, or was getting to the best finishing ever in our history, and perhaps promotion. But it's not about that. I just feel like, first of all, it felt like a very rushed decision. He was like, right, steps 3 to 5, or no, sorry, 3 to 7, null and void. Let's start worrying about the bigger things. And it's like, we want to be treated like everybody else. And everybody says, yeah, the Premier League are the important ones. Or is the money situation in the Premier League that matters? And I'm thinking, it should all be the same. Do you know when people say our club is special, or we're more than a club? Barcelona says that, right. Celtic says that. Biggleswade United is more than a club. Yeah. I feel just because we're this big, we don't want to be treated any different to anybody else. So, as you say,
it's representative of the heart and the soul of what football is all about.
Community club, like many, like there are thousands. So I'm not saying we are special, but there are thousands. And a lot of people are saying, look, only 20% of you have signed this letter that has been written by a lawyer and sent to the FA. Only 20% of you have signed it. And I'm thinking, why is the other 80% not signing it? It's like, don't they see how unfair this is? And obviously they have other priorities, or perhaps they're thinking of it differently. Fair enough. In any case, what I felt was important is that there seems to be a lobby of chairman stroke clubs that think a little bit different about the situation. And perhaps to come out of this, I imagine when the FA Council meets to determine the final decision, it will be null and void anyway.
Okay. But there is still a chance that actually could be changed, and that they could actually, all of the rest of the divisions, all the steps, that they can finish out the season at some point in time, or you think it's not likely?
The pressure is there, but there is enough arguments to say, but 80% don't think like you. Okay, fair enough. But what I'm thinking is there is a possibility of making a lobby out of that. So, the leagues, how it goes is the leagues representatives to go to the FA, but maybe the chairman and the clubs through different leagues can get together to discuss things that matters to everyone, like this thing. So perhaps something positive comes out of it. And to be honest, if we had to start the season, it's better for us, because the first 2 months of the season, we were designing the squad and we weren't getting it right. In fact, we lost most of the games in the first 2 months. That took us away 9 points from top, as we were at the moment. So we've got the squad now. We could start from the beginning and start from scratch, and it will benefit us. But I just think it's unfair.
Right. Well, Toastmeister says thank you very much for such a great answer on Biggleswade. And obviously, apart from that passion and emotion that you put into it, what else, apart from Biggleswade, do you miss about football?
Not much.
Really? Not even Espanol?
No, because the reason being, and I do miss, we had a cup game to play as well with Biggleswade United, and I miss that. It would have been nice to share things with the players. We're going to have a Zoom, an award ceremony with everybody involved, with the ladies as well, who are doing very well and also fighting for promotion. And there's also these letters to help them also to have a say about the whole thing. So, our under-23s, the senior sides will get together. It won't be the same as having an awards night together, so I will miss that part. But I just feel that, as I was saying earlier, it has been about getting information, the new information about what's happening all over the place, and then put it out there in the outlets that we have, like BBC or Sport, the newspaper. I've been doing stuff for the LaLiga show that I do, the Talking Football show. Right. So, in a way, apart from the games not happening, it has been a way to catch up these 20-odd days of isolation. But generally, I don't miss anything that's not in front of me or that is impossible to get. I think like that anyway about life and anything else. If it's not there, why worry? Why miss it?
So you live in the moment, then you live in the present.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that you really miss about daily life apart from football. Just, I don't know, all of your travels, going back and forth between England and Barcelona, or anything else, seeing your friends, or no? You're so focused on what's right in front of you that you don't even really think in those terms.
I don't want to think about what's not there or what I cannot control. So right now I'm trying to make the most out of what is in front of me. And work-wise, as I was saying, I was doing some Talking Football audio stuff, and also looking at the script. I have to look at one script of the interview we did of Iniesta today. For sport, I've been doing a weekly column, and also getting all the interviews that were never published in Spain and put them out there, like recently the one with Van Dijk. I've been working on the podcast, the Pure Football podcast, and I've been putting new episodes there, and there's 2 or 3 more to come out. One of them with you.
Correct.
Can we tell the story?
Absolutely. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. The Pure Football podcast is a podcast that I started. I'm in the 2nd series now, and started about 6 months ago. And what I do is I put together interviews that I've done, others that are new ones, and put it all together. And one of the things that I'm doing, because I'm working towards a new book on Maradona.
Which I was going to ask you about, by the way, about how it was coming along. But
some of it, I'm doing some stuff on it, so we can talk about it. But I went to Buenos Aires, as you know, around New Year's Eve, and I got together a really clever bunch of people of different areas, sociologists, historians, an English guy that lives in Buenos Aires, journalists, to talk and debate about Maradona in English. So there will be a long episode of the Pure Football podcast debating Maradona and his importance as a player, etc. But then I thought, I did an interview with him a few years back in Jordan for SoccerX. And it was in my YouTube channel, but without subtitles or anything. And I thought, people have not heard Maradona talk, have they? Had you in English? Not translated,
no.
Subtitled?
No.
You haven't?
Not really.
You hear the sound bits and obviously the documentaries that are out there and people talking about the England-Argentina game, but not Maradona itself.
Right.
So we thought, how about if we actually convert that conversation into a podcast in English? My questions in English, and the answers of Maradona done by a special voice that every time you hear it, you think like, who's this? Which keeps you alerted, but at the same time represents and talks in a way, the way that Maradona does, with the same passion and intensity, and that's you.
Thank you. Well, I hope I live up to all
you
of
are
that.
Maradona.
I am
You are
Maradona,
Maradona.
everyone's surprise.
Yeah, so the episode will be out soon, and it's all been edited, and I thought it was a good chat in terms of putting the bigger picture of who Maradona was, what he went through, what he learned, and his importance as a player. So you did really, really well, and I thank you for that.
Oh, you're most welcome. I mean, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to play Maradona, because it was such a blast. I really enjoyed it. It was one of the most unique things I've ever done, I think, in my career or even in my life. So really very much an honor. I hope that I just make him and yourself very proud in the end with the final product. Speaking of which, you mentioned that I needed to ask you about the strangest thing that's ever happened to you in the football industry. So please fill us in.
Well, I consider myself a communicator, so I tell stories, and there are different ways of telling a story. You can do it by a book, an article. You can do it when we talk on LaLiga TV. You know, when we have time, especially, you got more possibilities of going in depth into the stories. But at the end, we're just telling a story. And there is I think we all have a creative side to ourselves, which we tend to hide or not to use or not to exploit, really. And one day I thought, I put a tweet out. I said, would anybody put music to my lyrics? Because I've written fiction, poems or whatever, but never written lyrics. And a lot of people responded, but 2 bands, actually we started working together and created 2 EPs.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know this story. Yeah.
So one is Best Boy Grip, who is now a top musician stroke producer in Northern Ireland, but you know, with international fame. And then King and Scholes from Liverpool. So it was 2 completely different processes, but fascinating, both of them. With King and Scholes, I sent them my lyrics, which were more like poems than music lyrics, and they just read and sang everything. Everything I sent, they sang, even though they admitted afterwards that a lot of the time they didn't understand what they were singing, which was interesting.
Well, what were the lyrics about?
Stories. you'll have to Google. I'll send you the link.
Okay, fair enough.
King and Skulls. Different stories. It's better to hear it than to explain it.
Okay.
But relationships and things that
So
happen
more
in the
personal
story.
stories, not anything related to
Personal
it. Okay.
stories. No. And with Best Boy Grip, the process was completely different. With Best Boy Grip, I sent him the lyrics straight away because we connected. We're really good friends now. Straight away, sent them back, completely destroyed, picking a word from here, a sentence from there. And then it's like, well, this is not what I sent. But you don't know how to do lyrics, he would say. And it's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. So we did songs together, which he converted them into songs. My lyrics were converted into proper songs. In fact, there is one song in which none of the lyrics were used.
Really?
And nothing.
So you just took
and he
the
asked
essence
me,
of whatever you wanted to talk about and he just rewrote them completely?
no, he didn't write anything.
Okay.
He took the lyrics away. So he made a song. It's called Sugar. And he said, when you are in a football ground, just send me this sentence that were in your lyrics, just one sentence. So I recorded in a football ground, I think it was the Vicente Calderón, something which he put into the song. And so my voice is one of the songs. I'm not singing, but so in terms of crazy, there was another song that we did with Vintage Apollos, a band, just one song called the Lighthouse, and it was a fascinating 2-year process that I really, really enjoyed, and I learned a lot through it, a lot.
Oh, it is really interesting. No, you definitely never mentioned that before, so you'll have to send over the links, and I'm very curious to look into this. So we have some other questions coming through for you, more football related. But first of all, a particular someone by the name of Lauren Seeley. God, I'm sorry. I hope I pronounced that okay. CFC wants to have a shout out from the main man, which would be you. So maybe you can give him a shout out.
Lauren! That was shouting.
There you go, Lauren.
You're right.
I hope that
You're
works
okay.
for you, Lauren.
What is he from? Does he say?
It doesn't say, no. Where are you from, Lauren? Let us know.
Yes.
Let's see. Oh, this is a good question from Neil Kirkham. Wants to know, will all of this change how football clubs are run? This being the crisis, the pandemic, obviously. And will money stop being spent in such a reckless way?
I want to think that's the case, and quite clearly it's going to happen in the first 2 years, I would say, before everything gets adjusted. But there will be a point where, say, Real Madrid goes for Mbappé, then it will feed money into the whole machine, and then everybody will just be affected by it. It will be a domino effect.
But do you think they'll go for him still this season, this summer, or the transfer window? Do you think they're going to put it off because of the whole situation?
I've been talking to directors of football and agents, and they quite clearly realize there's not going to be much money, that the key here is going to be swap of players. That's going to be the key. Swap of players with a little bit more of money, but there won't be a lot of cash available. So forget about the big deals. Mbappé, Neymar, even Coutinho, what they're looking for is a loan deal, and a lot of it will happen as well. Loan deals with an obligation to buy, or with a clause, with a fixed sum that you can then agree 12 months later. But there's not going to be a lot of exchange of money, because even though players like Barcelona reducing 70% of the wages for a couple of months, it doesn't really bring all the money that the clubs are going to be losing.
Right.
So they're going to all have to adjust. I would like to think, and Rummenigge has said that at Bayern Munich, that clubs will start giving priority or more importance to things that are not just money. Community, relationship with fans, the going back to the real world, reduction of or more monitoring of the agents' fees, the reduction of costs in terms of wages in relation to the money that's coming in. Barcelona, why are they were the first ones to do ask for the reduction of wages? Because they're just here. They cannot breathe with the lack of liquidity.
Right.
So there will be changes from that point of view. It's just that we are in a system, capitalism, in which it benefits the ones who have more, and eventually, unless there are rules that impose caps on wages, which it won't be easy, or there is no appetite for it, because you have to change all the legislation and everything. Unless that happens, we'll more or less at the end of the crisis go back to what it was, I think.
You talked about the fans, and I'm curious to know what you think, because obviously in the UK things are quite different to how they are here in Spain. And every club and individual and players, they've been handling the situation in a different way. Some have decided to donate their own money. Some have decided to take these, salary reductions and so on. But what do you think the relationship between fans and players and fans and clubs will be after all of this is said and done? I guess it's kind of an individual, it might depend on each club because each club has reacted in a different way. But do you think that people will start to look at footballers and clubs in a different way after all of this?
I wish that the clubs thought of fans a bit more, because there are big decisions that have to be taken before 2024 in relation of the football calendar, new competitions. Obviously, all this will be affected by what's happened now, but the fans should have a say on all that, and they won't.
Yeah.
They won't. So fans have been becoming customers and witness to the whole show. And I think this could be a good opportunity for those who are brave to actually give fans a little bit more of a say. Mm-hmm. Now, we're going to see football coming back, but we're going to see it behind closed doors. Right. Nobody wants that, but it will happen. That's the next step. Which is, of course, the lack of soul of the games will be so obvious that people say, we cannot live without fans. But it won't change the way that clubs are run, because it's the same people that were running it 2 months ago. So it won't change. And it's a shame, because I think fans could add a different spin on things and could make people realize of their mistakes. The big example is Liverpool. They come out with an idea to go on furlough, and then they have to change their mind because of the pressure of media and fans. Fans have to be heard. I don't think they will be heard as much as they should.
Okay. Well, let's get some other questions for you. Oh, by the way, it was Lawrence. Sorry, Lawrence. Apparently, I don't know how to read Twitter handle names, so that's my mistake. So I guess technically his name is Lawrence Eli. I hope that's right.
Lawrence Eli.
From Gravesend, UK. So there you go.
All right, okay.
So there you go. Sorry about that, Lawrence. Then we have another question for you from Zygum. Man, you guys are making this really difficult for me with your Twitter handle names. If the Premier League is void, should current positions stand, or nothing from this season should stand? He thinks at the latter, that nothing should stand.
I think Liverpool should win the league, should be handed the trophy, whatever happens. So people are talking about null and void, or suspending it from now, and then even if you suspend it, to use a different metric to actually get teams to go into Europe, like points per game or something like that. I think it should be, in my eyes, it's clear why they need to play until the end of the season. They could lose about more than £1 billion if they don't, because of television income.
Right.
They could survive out of that. They could survive. But anyway, everybody wants it to be played. Let's imagine that it's not. I don't think null and void should be the solution, as I was saying earlier with Biggleswade United. I think you have to hand the title to Liverpool, not to relegate anybody, to bring up the two teams that are at the top of the championship, and then, which I think was West Brom and Leeds. And then agree amongst all the clubs if the positions that there are in the Champions League positions and the Europa League are the ones to determine the teams that go to Europe, which I think there'll be an agreement on, more or less. Most of the teams perhaps will agree, I'm thinking, especially if Manchester City cannot go to Europe, which is one that, of course, they're battling on. So there's so many permutations. So I don't know really who should go to Europe, but it should be determined on what has happened so far. If it's not, the season is not continued, what's happened so far this season somehow.
Okay, well, Ben Isaac, staying along with the idea of capitalism in football and huge billionaire owners of clubs and so on, especially in the UK, Well, Ben would like to know why there aren't more billionaire investors buying up Spanish football clubs. And I'm guessing he means in the Spanish top flight, because obviously we've got Malaga as an example, who's owned by a very big billionaire in Abu Dhabi or something like that, right? I think.
No, well, he's been pushed out.
Oh, he's been pushed out. Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it's gone back to some of administrators. But
okay.
Basically, what will be the two teams that are more interesting for you? Barcelona and Madrid. Right. They're owned by season ticket holders. They're not a limited society, so you cannot sell them. You cannot buy them. You cannot sell them. And the rest, there is not much margin for benefit. Say, for instance, in Wanda owns a big percentage of Atletico Madrid, which will be the third interesting team. Singaporean businessman owns Valencia, so that's another one that has seen the benefit of having a club in Spain. But the likes of Villarreal, Athletic Bilbao, again, not the third and only team that is not in the first division, that is not a limited society, so you cannot buy it. But Real Sociedad, Villarreal, Sevilla. Sevilla is trying to sell, but as has been suggested,
right? No less.
Well, they're trying to sell, but nobody.
But I don't know if anymore.
At one point, yeah. Nobody's buying them at the moment because there is not that margin of benefits in Spain. Even though the finances are much better than have been, the most of the money that comes in from television is not to pay dividends, is to actually pay costs. So it's not run in a way that will bring big margins. So it doesn't really bring so much interest. There is another level of millionaires that are looking into the second division to buy clubs that they can transform into almost like representation agencies, where you can bring players and then sell them on. And then you can get a little bit of business going that way. But not so many either. So yeah, it's not an attractive proposition to get a football club in Spain, because especially Barcelona and Madrid are not for sale.
Well, speaking of attractive propositions, Iker Casillas this week put out a really brilliant proposal. At least I think it's wonderful. I absolutely love the idea of playing a vintage clásico match with some of the players who have been retired in recent years. So the likes of himself, Iniesta, Xavi, so on.
No, Iniesta's not retired.
Sorry.
I know that
one, but
it kind of
sorry.
Looks like
he's
like
so far gone in my mind. He's been gone for so long but you're right, he's not retired yet. Sorry, Iniesta. But who would you like to see be involved in that game?
All right, let's go. Should we do 2-11s?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do 2-11s. Why not? I'm going to write this down as we go along.
Okay, you think of the strikers for Barcelona and Madrid, and I'll think of the midfielders, defenders, and goalkeeper. Okay?
Okay.
Well, no, I'll give you the goalkeeper as well. Goalkeepers for Barcelona and Madrid, what do you think?
Well, Casillas,
Iker Casillas will win. Yeah. And?
Let's see, Casillas.
How about Valdés? He's just retired.
Valdés, but I wasn't sure if he was fully retired yet or not. So
okay.
Valdés. Then it needs to be Valdés. Definitely needs to be Valdés. Okay.
You think of the strikers. We'll do a 4-4-2.
Okay.
4-3-3. So I'll give you more to choose from up front. You think of the strikers, and I'll think of the midfielders and defenders. Defenders for Real Madrid. Oh, I love Michel Salgado to be involved.
Let's do it.
Roberto Carlos,
right?
Roberto Carlos and Michel Salgado as the fullbacks.
Okay.
Hierro and Ivan Campo.
Okay.
My lovely friend Ivan Campo. He's still got his curly hair with him. Midfield of Redondo.
Okay.
That'd be great. Redondo and David Beckham.
Oh, yeah.
And Zidane.
Oh, Zidane has to be there for sure. Okay.
And Solari.
Okay. Let's see.
Oh, I've got 4 there.
That's fine. Okay, so Zidane, Solari.
Beckham. Solari, Redondo.
Beckham. And Redondo. Okay. I think we've got
your strikers.
You got Raúl.
Okay, Raúl. Yeah, and obviously. Yes.
And who else could we put up there? Raúl. I would say Cristiano Ronaldo, even though he's not retired, but just because.
How about the other Ronaldo then?
Oh, well, I was thinking about him for Barcelona, but okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's put the Ronaldo.
Oh, no, he's more at Madrid. He's more Madrid. Okay, but yes, he was at Barcelona.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it's fine. We'll put him for Real Madrid, and then we can put Ronaldinho or somebody else for Barcelona.
Perfect.
Okay. So Raúl and
so Barcelona.
Oh, Ronaldo. Sorry, Ronaldo.
We accept suggestions if you see any comments there.
We accept suggestions, definitely. No one's chimed in yet, but chime in, let us know what you think too.
Okay.
So we've got
Barcelona.
Well, Puyol obviously needs to be in central defense.
Puyol and Xavi, they have to be. But if we're looking for the back four, Xavi Ferrer, our friend,
of course,
and Sergi Barjuan, who's on the left-hand side, the other dream team left back. Sergi and Xavi Ferrer.
How do you
Carlos Puyol.
Who did you Sergi Barjuan? I have to admit, I don't know.
Barjuan.
Barjuan.
Sergi, just Sergi.
That's fine.
Come Sergio, but without the O.
All right.
With Puyol, we need to have next to him Marquez.
Rafa Marquez. Yeah, definitely. Like that.
Then of midfield, Xavi.
Sorry, I'm missing the right back. Who did we say?
Xavi Ferrer.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Xavi. Okay, we've got, let's see, people coming in. Abidal, Guardiola.
Oh, Pep Guardiola.
Pep Guardiola. Yeah.
Pep Guardiola next to Xavi.
Yeah.
Laudrup.
Okay.
Laudrup.
We've got lots of options coming in. Redondo, Jose Maria Vaquero, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho.
Oh, well, you now have the strikers, so we've got the midfilders.
Okay, wait. So we've got Ronaldinho. And we've also got, who did we say? Ronaldinho and Rivaldo. Or no?
Rivaldo, Ronaldinho. Yes, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho. We're looking for strikers, no? Because we got the three midfielders. So we need one. Aneto.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who I spoke to this morning.
Did you?
Yeah, he's fine.
Where is he right now?
His family fine. I think he lives in Qatar. I don't know if he's still there, but he lives in Qatar. I met him I was in Qatar for the Xavi Talking Football show. And I was like, what are you doing here, Samuel? Says, I met him in a hotel, the hotel we were staying. I was like, I live here. Do you?
I didn't know that he lives in Qatar. Okay, interesting.
He lives in Qatar.
Oh, okay. So I'm getting really sidetracked. Sorry. Ronaldinho, Eto'o, and who do we say? Rivaldo.
And Rivaldo. I know we're missing many, but those actually...
Riquelme.
Riquelme, of course. Yeah. There's so many.
We can put him on the bench.
Yeah.
He can come in the second half.
Oh, he won't be happy.
I know, but it's a way to get everybody involved. David Villa, of course.
Villa.
Oh, there's too many choices. Okay, so we've got to go back to midfield. So we've got Guardiola, Xavi, Laudrup, right?
Laudrup. That's it. But we have to have Villa.
Oh, yeah, because we're doing a 4-3-3, yeah.
But who do we take out?
For Villa?
Well, Ronaldinho has just come out from prison.
Yeah.
But he cannot travel away. He cannot travel away because he's been taking the passport from the government. So we can get David Villa a start.
Okay. So I'll put David Villa then. Sorry, Ronaldinho. You'll have to continue playing for pork or for pigs or whatever it was that he got for winning the tournament. Okay. Figo, obviously, another good one.
Figo, wow, yes.
There's a lot. There's so many options.
Figo could be either half and half.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though he hates Barcelona.
Yeah,
Barcelona
I probably wouldn't put him on the Barcelona side.
No, maybe not.
So here is how my wonderful drawing of a star would look.
All right.
Sorry, my handwriting is not very good, but...
Very impressive. You have to make a picture. Put a picture later.
I will.
On Twitter, and then see what people think.
All right, fantastic. So now that we have our two starting 11s, who do you think would win?
I don't know. We'll have to see who is fit and who's not. Who do we put as coaches?
Oh yeah, of course. You've got to put in coaches.
For Barcelona.
Well, you could say Guardiola from. No.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
And for Madrid.
But he's also playing Guardiola, so I mean, but I guess he could do both, right? He can play and coach at the same time.
Play coach.
Okay.
Play coach.
So also say.
And for Real Madrid, Del Bosque, of course.
Yeah.
Del Bosque.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Did you see, by the way, I think it came out yesterday, the article where Del Bosque was talking about trying to unite the locker room at the time when all of these clásicos were going on between the two sides, and it was just, they saw what was happening on television, and he said, right, we've got to fix the situation here. I don't have the time to read the full article yet, but I mean, I'm really looking forward to reading what he had to say. Del
Bosque is always somebody to listen to, and he hasn't been the president of Spain because he didn't want to, but he's a bit of a left winger. And he appreciates a lot of things that made him such a good sportsman, like team effort, discipline within the group, respect to authority, a lot of things that you get in the sport, but it comes natural to him as well. He's a very, very relevant figure, somebody that you always have to hear. And I remember I did a documentary for Sky Sports on the year that we won the years that we won the 3 tournaments with Spain. And I interviewed him and so many people, Placido Domingo, the president of the government, and the one that I could listen to for hours was him. And he would tell me all those things that perhaps people exaggerated in the national side, the difference between Barcelona and Madrid, because once they came into the side, they were the same. But certainly, to get the best out of a team like he had in his hands, things had to be decided. And sometimes it's not so much a Madrid-Barcelona relationship, but it's a players' relationship. Luis Aragonés, before 2008, got rid of Michel Salgado, Cañizares, Raúl, but it was because he just didn't mix well with the ones that he felt had to lead, especially Xavi Hernandez. And then all of a sudden clicked. That's a football team. You never know how things are going to click. In my own experience, Biggleswade United again, you think, okay, I've got an idea, you get the manager, but then he's got to put together a group of people that work for the same cause. And even though we did kind of adjusted for the first 3 years, all of a sudden, not this season, the season before, boom, we clicked. And this season, with a different leader, even more. And it's like, how did that happen? Well, it's a mixture of 5 years fighting to go into the same direction, convincing people to do it, and then just getting the right group of people working for the same cause. So it happens at Biggleswade United, it happens with Spain, it happens with any team in the world.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, we've got a couple of other names being thrown out at us that we forgot to mention, Mourinho being the obvious one.
Oh, yes.
Lawrence has pointed out that we forgot Mourinho. And Cruyff.
Yes. I was going to say Cruyff and Antich in both sides. And it will be a way to give an homage to two marvelous people that both of them gave so much to football and to people. They probably didn't realize that, but in those 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour that they gave us, we took it with us forever. I learned a lot talking to Johan. I learned a lot about humanity talking to Radomir, and they'll be greatly missed.
So we've got to include them in the sides, then, don't you think?
Yeah.
We've got to sacrifice. Yeah. Okay, who are we going to sacrifice then?
No, we'll have Antich and Cruyff as the coaches.
Okay.
They'll be directing from up there.
All right, sounds good. I think that's fair. Let's do that. So Antich and Cruyff.
Do you know Antich? You know the story, of course. Maybe not everybody knows. Radomir Antich is the only manager to have managed Barcelona, Madrid, and Atletico Madrid. Yep. And he was sacked the second season at Real Madrid when he was top of the table.
7 points clear, right, after 19 games?
Because they thought they didn't like the way the team played. So there you are.
That's amazing. All right. So what else? How are you feeling? You want to keep going? You getting tired?
Good. Yeah. It's fine.
We've been going strong for 43 minutes. We can go for a couple more minutes. So let's see. Why don't we change topics a little bit? Okay. Have you seen any interesting football documentaries or sports documentaries recently?
Right. I tell you what I've been watching. I'd say I tend to go away from football when I have the opportunity, especially honestly, when I'm going to relax.
I think it's a smart idea because it's really healthy to switch off a bit and to just focus on other things in life.
Yeah. But I'll tell you 2 or 3 series that I've watched that you all have to watch. Okay. First one that you shouldn't. The English Game. I watched the English Game last night in a couple of goals.
I really liked it. I thought it was beautifully done. I know it's not true, to the original story, but
cliche after cliche. It's just cliche. The kind of the way they talk. It's like no. It was in. Then it got engaging.
I thought the acting was really well done. I mean, okay, you've lived in England for a really long time, so you know more about the cliches than I do from a cultural standpoint of view. But I thought it was. I don't know. I thought it was nice.
All right. Well, we agree to disagree.
Fair enough. Okay.
But I watched Succession on HBO.
I'm obsessed.
Oh my God.
Obsessed.
Oh my God. There's a third series,
I can't wait for it.
There's a third series. They are so good, all of them.
Yeah.
You don't like any.
Yeah.
You don't want any of them as your friend. But you want to watch what happens to them.
Yeah.
Oh, Succession, brilliant.
It is. I agree.
There was one that, and I think it's HBO as well, in which it mixes very cleverly an interesting plot, a mystery.
Let's see if I can guess what it is.
All right, with a big corporation. So it's little people. Yes, McMillions.
We've just finished the second episode. So don't tell me much more.
No. But it's so human because it's not about what they do to McDonald's.
Right.
It's about revenge, greed. It's about relationships. It's about love. It's about sex. It's about money. It's unbelievable. So it's the best. It's the best story you could create because it's got everything and really well done and interesting characters as well. I like the tiger, the Tiger King.
Oh, that was
so weird. I never met anybody as weird as that bunch.
Yeah.
Poor Tiger King. He's got coronavirus.
Does he?
He has coronavirus.
How did he get? He's in jail.
But in jail you can as well. So I imagine.
Yeah, I'll leave that to the imagination. But yeah.
And for those that have, this is not a spoiler, but for those that want to watch it or have watched it, they are reopening the case of the missed husband.
That's right.
They are reopening the case.
And what do you make of it? What do you think?
Well, do you know what? There was an interesting angle that there's a couple of things that don't get mentioned in the series because, of course, what happens is you start reading about it. So, for instance, the Tiger King was married to a guy that was a killer, and that doesn't come out at all.
Really?
Yeah, a murderer.
Oh my God! Like an assassin for hire kind of thing.
No, I don't know. I don't know what the story is, but he's in prison as well.
Wow.
So he's married to him as well. And the woman, I can't remember her name, with the missing husband.
Carol Baskins.
Yeah. So, you know when she says, they accuse me of having a meat grinder? What you see is a huge meat grinder where you can actually put a body.
Oh, no.
But the meat grinder that she had was like this.
Yeah.
So Netflix was very, very naughty in suggesting things that weren't there. So they obviously painted a picture that was not fully true about her.
Right.
So I feel I don't have the whole story.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I feel like you always have to take things with a pinch of salt because you never know exactly the way that they're trying to, of course, make you believe certain things. But anyway, it's still, regardless, very, very bonkers and fascinating.
Fascinating. And then what else? I mean, I watched, I think Unbelievable is called, which is very interesting as well. The Killer Confession, I think it is, or the Confession of a Killer.
The Confession Killer, yeah, that's right. That was interesting.
Also very interesting with fascinating twists. Because at the end, these murder stories, and I'm more hooked to reality stories lately than because of the way they're done. It's about people. It's not about the case. It's the
psychology behind people. All of it too, right? Isn't it? It's the way people think, the way they perceive the world, the way that it affects the way that they behave and the decisions that they make. It's really, really interesting.
Oh, totally. So and now because didn't think anything that kind of grabbed me, I started going back to The Crown, which is a fascinating picture of the whole monarchy, but also every episode is gold. Yeah. It's dramatic gold. The way they pick, and I'm taking a lot of notes when I'm doing this because I want to do the book like that.
Okay.
There's so much that you can write about the monarchy in England and the Queen. There's so much you can write about Maradona. So how do you put that in 130,000 words? And the key is to actually pick a story, make it dramatic, so always with a hook, so you have to read until the end, make it into episodes that are almost like a story in itself, and with some threads throughout the book, throughout the story. But especially they did a story about Winston Churchill getting a present for his 80th birthday. It was was a portrait. So the relationship between Winston Churchill and the painter.
Right.
That was one of the stories of the last episode.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know, you could have told that in so many detail, but no, instead they just go and focus on it to tell you a lot about Churchill. And what happened to the painting at the end is also a nice twist. So I'm taking a lot of notes from that one because The Crown, I think, is the perfect. Whatever the story, those scriptwriters would have made it fascinating because of the way they use the television language and the script writing. So yeah, fascinated about it.
Yeah, and the acting as
well.
well.
I like the fact that we're not talking football.
Yeah.
And we're talking something else.
Well, speaking of which, you may not be so thrilled about this next question then. Neil Crookham wants to know if we've seen Sunderland Till I Die on Netflix.
Not yet. And it's down to, I've got it there. I've got it in the list. And I'm thinking, it's like, and I know it's brilliant. And I learn as well because, you know, as a chairman of a football club, I will learn from anything.
Right.
But right now, football is, you know, is not part of my hobby at the moment.
It's perfectly reasonable, perfectly fair. And I kind of feel the same way as well too, because I've had it on my list for a long time, but I kept thinking sometimes it's nice to break away from football and it's healthy for the mind as well. So I'm like, oh, I'll watch, you know, Tiger King, or I'll watch The Crown, or I'll watch one of these other series. I'll get around to watching, knocked over the cup. I'll get around to watching Sunderland Till I Die at some point, but I haven't quite made it there just yet. No. So, anyway.
No, I think the fact, if you actually look at football as a hobby or something as your passion, as in the kind of thing you get to dedicate your life to away from your work,
right.
It's normal that you just, you know, feed yourself with everything. Yeah. But when football is your profession, in a way or another, and it invades absolutely everything.
Exactly.
I'm very passionate about what I do. But also, I need to get away from it.
Yeah.
So, same as you.
Yeah, 100%. Right. Well, anything else you wanna talk about before we say goodbye?
We covered everything. I mean, do you put all this video then somewhere for people to go back to it?
Exactly, I do. And in fact, somebody else asked me that very same question. So what I do is I download these from Periscope and then I put them back up onto YouTube. So anybody who wants to rewatch any of these episodes, you can go to my channel on YouTube and you'll find all of them in the playlist TeaTimeTalks, and they're all there for your viewing pleasure whenever you want. So.
And who are you talking to next?
Who am I talking to next? I'm talking to Paul Burgess next, who is do you know him? The groundskeeper.
Paul Burgess, no.
Okay. He's the groundskeeper at Real Madrid.
Oh, Paul Burgess, yeah, of course.
And he's fascinating. I've known him for years from when I was working at Real Madrid TV. We traveled together on the pre-season tour through Australia and China. Got up to all sorts of mischief. Good mischief, though.
Yeah.
But he's a great, great guy. And he's really, really interesting to talk to, and the way that he explains the industry. And I like to call him the grass whisperer, because he's, you know, the best in the game, really, when it comes to pitches and everything. So, yeah, I've got him on Friday.
No, I thought they were LaLiga TV colleagues. I'm thinking, I don't know any Paul Burgess.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
they have
great.
been up until now. It's been all LaLiga TV colleagues. But then I thought, well, he would be an interesting kind of to break away from just the whole ex-footballer and journalists, you know, and everybody from LaLiga TV, to throw in somebody else as well, who can add a different dimension to the conversations. And I think it'll be really, really interesting to talk to him.
I'll be watching that for sure.
Awesome. And then Saturday, Naeem.
Genius.
Yeah,
Genius.
Exactly.
Yes.
And Sunday.
He's got a lovely story about what he does where he lives, because he doesn't live in mainland Spain.
Right.
And people may not know that where he lives is also Spain. He's in Morocco.
Right.
You know, we want Gibraltar back, because Gibraltar's in mainland Spain.
Right.
We give Ceuta back and Melilla, because they actually are Moroccan.
So that's the swap, right? So we'll give you Ceuta, Melilla, and you give us back Gibraltar, and we're all good.
Something like that. Yeah.
So you're referring to the bakery?
Second.
Are you referring to the bakery or no?
What bakery?
Okay, never mind. I'll leave that for Saturday then.
All right. Okay. All right.
Never mind. All right. Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, the bakery. Naeem has got a bakery.
He's got a bakery. Did you not know this?
No.
Oh.
No. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a story.
It's a really nice story, actually. It's the oldest bakery, if I remember correctly, in Ceuta. And he bought it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's been around for like over 100 years. It's on one of the main walk streets. The name eludes me at the moment, but his wife runs it. And
Wow,
they
I
do,
didn't know
yeah,
that.
it's amazing. And they do a mixture of like Spanish and Arabic pastries, and it looks delicious. And the coffee as well, it looks
Brilliant.
fabulous. I'm like, I would go to Ceuta just to go to the bakery.
Brilliant. And ask
Great.
him about Johan Cruyff as well. I used the conversation I had with him that we recorded in LaLiga TV about Johan Cruyff and his time there, and it was fascinating for the Pure Football podcast. So get him into that.
Okay, I remember that actually. I think I was kind of
Yeah.
creeping behind the two of you listening in when you guys were
Good
recording
chat.
it. So,
Good chat.
no, great stuff. Awesome. Well, Guillem, thank you very much.
Okay, Semra, my pleasure. Anytime.
Well, glad to hear it. So take care of yourself, and to everybody else too, take care of yourselves. Hope you enjoyed the chat that we just had. And as always, you know where to find us. We'll be back for more on Friday, as I said earlier, with Paul Burgess. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.